Hi, welcome to part 2 of the video that discusses paraphrasing, quotes, plagiarism, and we're excited. So in part 1, we ended with looking at this article here, Old Age Isn't for Sissies, written by Frank Bell. And in this portion, we're going to be looking at some examples taken from this article, and we're going to be looking at some common examples of plagiarism. Okay? Below are 4 common types of plagiarism, often committed by accident. The plagiarized parts are shown in red. So our first example here says using copy and paste without credit. Changes in the face show what is going on underneath the skin. Over time, muscles grow weaker and the skin over the muscles begins to sag. Wrinkles and bags can result. So here we see we're getting some context, right here in black, we're getting some context about the situation, and then we have our direct quote, but what is missing is we don't know who the author is. Remember, our author was Frank Bell. We don't have that information, and we don't also have any information about the title. Okay, that could be done in a couple ways. You could start out with giving your context, changes in the face, show what is going on underneath the skin. After that, you could say something like, according to Frank Bell in the article, and I forgot the article's name, so I'm going to look at it, Old Age Isn't for Sissies. Over time, muscles grow weaker and the skin over the muscles begins to sag. That's one way of doing it. You could also just say, according to Frank Bell, here's your direct quote. And then in the parenthetical citation at the end, you could include the article title. Another thing that is missing here, besides the author's name and title, would be, this is a direct quote taken from that article, so we need the quotation marks here. Okay, so there are some pieces missing there. So copying and pasting direct examples from a text, word for word, and not giving any credit. Okay. Another example is using images without credit. And I'm going to have to scroll up here because I can't remember the name. Mandy Godby here. Okay. Mandy Godby here is actually the person that took this image. Okay. So we need to give credit. Again, including her name and giving her credit for this photo. Paraphrasing without credit. So here, again, paraphrasing is putting something in your own words. We have melanin produced by the hair follicles is a pigment that colors hair. Hair slowly loses its color when follicles age and produce less melanin. White hair may come from black hair that has gone through stages, from salt and pepper to gray to silver to white. Okay, so this person has taken this idea, put it in his or her own words, but again, we don't have an article title, and we don't have the author's name. When you're paraphrasing, we wouldn't need quotes here, so we don't have to worry about that, but we're still missing pieces of information. And in this particular instance, they're pointing out forgetting quotation marks. Okay, so the changes in the body might be most extreme. Frank Bell writes that, oh good, so at least we're getting the author's name here, but then in red here it says, it is not uncommon for people over the age of 40 to lose a centimeter of height every 10 years. That is actually the last sentence in that article, and we would need a quotation marks here, and of course we would need it here. Okay? So those are just some common examples, and of course you have this video, so you can go back and look at those examples at your leisure if you would like to do that, or if you forget something. And the last thing I just want to point out is the Works Cited page. Okay, for purposes of what we are doing, you will be using EasyBib to generate a Works Cited page, and then you will be putting it in a slide at the end of your presentation. But I still want to point out some key components in the Works Cited page, because this is important information for you to know. First off, if you look up at the right hand side of this document, you're going to see Gower, that is the author's last name, and followed by that a number, and this would be the page number. So this document comes at the end, so it is a five-page document, and that fifth page is the works cited. Next, you'll notice the title. It says works cited, and it's centered and in the middle. Okay. Another thing I want to point out is you will see here that this is all double spaced. Okay. And let's just look on the left-hand side here and read what's in these little yellow boxes. The works cited page includes a variety of sources. For this particular type of citing, it's important to know that the only information that goes into your works cited page is the information in which you are actually using in your presentation. Sometimes we run across other pieces of information and we read it, but we don't necessarily use it. Okay, that type of information, something that you read but you're not using, would not go in a works cited page. It would go into a bibliography. Okay, so there is a difference. Only works actually cited in the paper are listed, just as I've just mentioned. Entries are alphabetical by author or by title if no author is given. Okay, so your first example here, Airplane Timeline, that's just the title. We don't have an author's name here. Okay, so it's important to remember that every entry is alphabetical. You can see that here. And of course, we try to keep it in order alphabetically, but we're looking at author's last name first. Okay, and then the first name comes after that. So, for example, David Leonard, Bradley Edwards. I'm sorry, Leonard David, I'm sorry, and Bradley Edwards, and Georgia Flight, Marianne Galvin. So here, and then Leo Lewis, we have last name comes first. Okay, that's important for you to remember. And of course, if there isn't an author, then you're going to use the article's title or the website title, depending upon what you're using or what you find. Again, I've already pointed out that all the entries are double spaced and they have a hanging indent. And that just means that the very first line in each entry has a hanging indent, like right here, okay? It's hanging out there, so to speak, closer to the margin, right? And then any lines preceding that are indented inwards, okay? I think that about sums it up. Whoops, I didn't go through all of the examples, but I think you understand what I was talking about when I was explaining the last names and such. And then I guess the last thing just to point out is URLs are broken only after a slash, and that's just like right here would be your URL, and here are the slash marks. Again, I don't expect that for purposes of what we're doing. I don't expect that you're going to have that information listed in the works cited. Okay. I guess that's about it. If you have any questions, you can go back and take a look at this video, and if I didn't address something that you have a question about, feel free to email me or to ask me in class. Thanks for listening. I appreciate your time. Bye.